drop the link over in the chat for the boys in case one of them wants to hop in. But right now, it's just little old me. Good morning, everybody. All right, y'all. First things first. It's cold. Like, it's so cold, I've got my Jedi robe wrapped around my waist to cover up my legs because these jammy pants just ain't cutting it this morning. So, big news. The big news out from yesterday is that Mark Zuckerberg has brought on Dana White, the owner, CEO, the big boss man from the UFC, who has been a vocal Trump supporter and free speech advocate for some time. So Dana White has joined the board over at Meta/Facebook, and Zuckerberg is saying that he's going to get rid of the fact checkers. So I want to talk a little bit this morning about fact checkers and the whole media censorship complex. There we go. I want to talk a little bit about the whole media censorship complex of the fact checkers and what fact checkers actually mean, what they've done to us. But we'll start with this article, and let me bring that up. While I'm trying to pull that up real quick, let me just say, I really like the way the Rumble Studio works generally, but I do miss using my Stream Deck with OBS, and I need to. There's a way for me to run that through the Rumble Studio, but I'm still having trouble with how to pull guests in through that format. So, it is what it is. We'll get there. So Dana White joins Meta board and Zuckerberg ends fact checking. Dana White was announced as one of 3 new members to Meta's board of directors, as founder Mark Zuckerberg claims the company will move away from fact checking and censorship. Now, there's been some commentary on this that apparently Zuckerberg has started doing some Gracie jiu-jitsu and getting some martial arts and some weightlifting into his exercise diet. And he famously made comments about the Trump assassination right after that picture was taken, when Trump threw up the fist, and Zuckerberg said that was pretty badass, right? That was the quote. It was badass. So that's freaking awesome. That said, let's not forget that Zuckerberg is at best a fair weather friend. Please believe that when Trump finishes his term, if we don't replace him with another suitable Republican, then the immediate result is going to be that Facebook goes back to something like the fact checkers instead of the community notes. So what they're talking about doing is replacing fact checkers on Facebook with a system more like community notes from X. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with it, the community notes, the way it works is just random people like me. I'm in the community notes system, and I spend a little time, not every day, but I look at the community notes, and I'm one of the people that votes on whether the note is helpful or not helpful. And y'all, I tell you what, as somebody who actually sees the community notes side of it, every single time Elon Musk posts anything, there's a community note added to it, and it always basically translates to, I hate Elon Musk because he has more money than I do. And those of us who are responsible users of the platform, we mark that as harassment and abuse because that's what it is. So, but community notes is the people saying, okay, this is ludicrous, right? And one of the important differences between the community notes and the fact checkers is the community notes also talk about when Democrats lie. So the fact checkers, they're bad at fact checking. They're intentionally bad at fact checking. So if you are a conservative, what they'll do, a great example, Tim Pool has reported that in the 2020 election, there was an alternate slate of unofficial electors that were basically pro-Trump. And the fact checkers on Facebook said, this is a lie. Wait, no, that's literally that is a true fact claim. There does exist an unofficial alternate slate of electors. And the fact checkers said, well, they're not official electors. I didn't say they were. Nobody said they were. Right? That they exist and whether or not they're official are two very different claims. So what the fact checkers actually do, each of the fact checkers is running their own site, making claims, and they write up an article that goes with the claim. The articles are the cheapest clickbait garbage. And then what happens is their fact check gets attached to content, videos, posts, memes, etc., gets attached to content that's doing well, that's getting high click-through rate. And since they've got their fact check attached there, what actually is happening is the website is getting free publicity from Facebook, free advertising from Facebook. And then when you click on that, if you click on it to read what the article says, what the fact check claims, what happens is Facebook and the company that made the fact check both earn ad revenue off of the website to which you are transferred to read the fact check. And people were clicking on the fact checkers instead of the actual post. So even if you go back, which most people don't, but even if you realize that you've accidentally clicked on the fact checker instead of the post that you wanted to read, you've just given your click to the fact checker. And more often than not to the original content creator. Candace Owens famously had a massive lawsuit against several of these fact checkers for exactly that reason, right? And at this point, we're not even talking about content creators who are losing revenue because they're not getting as many clicks. That is what we're talking about. At this point, we're not even talking about posters that are losing revenue because they're being demonetized by the claims of the fact checkers, right? Before you even talk about the platform actually taking action against the original poster to demonetize, derank, shadow ban, etc., their earnings are being routed away to the fact checker, to the other website. Xander Max says, we took our show off of Facebook because they don't value free speech. We might go back now. Yeah, ironically, this show, which is ostensibly all about Facebook, is not on Facebook today. Not this show. Obviously, this show is not about Facebook. This episode is about Facebook. This episode is about the Babylon Bee flying in to sting Zuckerberg in the face again. Because let's not forget, one of the inciting incidences, one of the inciting incidences for Elon Musk purchasing Twitter and converting it into X was the banning of the Babylon Bee from X, right? So back to the fact checkers. The Babylon Bee is one that lost a lot of revenue due to this. This is before you even talk about deranking, demonetizing, shadow banning, and all that stuff. people put the fact check on the Babylon Bee article, and somebody clicks on the fact check to read what it is. They don't click on the article and go to the Babylon Bee and read the article there and, count as traffic toward Babylon Bee's ad revenue. So even before Zuckerberg just switches off their customer base, they're having massive amounts of capital routed away from them by fact checkers that are making absolutely illegitimate fact checks. And these are, a lot of these are fly by night, startup little shithead companies, but not all of them. And so I've got this, I actually pulled up this thread on Meta, not on Meta, on X. I actually pulled up this thread on X from the Babylon Bee. In honor of Facebook ending its fact-checking partnerships, here are the funniest fact checks of Babylon Bee jokes. Right, so we're going to go through a few of these. Fact check. Facebook is using fact checks to shut down conservative satire, and these are the big ones. And before I read these, let me remind you, another absolutely hilarious phenomenon that is associated with this whole trend is for the last several years, there's been a running. It's hard to even call it a joke because it's just a true thing. What shows up as satire in the Babylon Bee often ends up being just basic foresight. It's amazing the number of Babylon Bee jokes that turned out to just be early reporting. Usually the majority of those kinds of stories are the Babylon Bee tries to produce parody and satire by making a satirical article that says some nutjob Democrat did something that's extremely crazy, that's just, so crazy that it's obviously a joke because nobody would ever be so psychotically crazy. And then of course, the next thing comes out and you've got the Democrat with the big hat saying the AR-15 weighs as much as 10 boxes that you might be carrying while you're moving. I'm like, oh my God. Oh, Waller. It's funny, but that's actually a reasonable example of the kind of fact checking that we're talking about. Is that the Babylon Bee was banned on Twitter? Fact checker, false. The Babylon Bee was not banned on Twitter. It was banned on capital T Twitter TM. Tim Pool describes this. He'll explain. The story will be something like Donald Trump did a perfect backflip, and the crowd applauded, and then the fact check will be claim Donald Trump did a perfect backflip on Saturday. This is false, and then it'll run the story, and it'll be like, well, it's true that Donald Trump did indeed do a perfect backflip. It was not done on Saturday. It was done on Sunday. Like, yeah, but the claim didn't say what. So they'll make up an additional detail that's not part of the original claim and then fact check that so that their headline can read that the entire claim is false. Right? That's a very common practice with these guys. But then, like I said before, these aren't just little fly-by-night organizations that are stealing money from content creators with these illegitimate fact check things. So again, the Babylon Bee, you've got, CNN purchases industrial sized washing machine to spin news before publication. Okay. How can that be more obviously a joke? Obviously, when you say that when you use the word spin in the context of talking about news, it really is as simple as you understand that doesn't mean they put it in a washing machine and put it on the spin cycle. Excuse me. Right. So the fact check says a page you admin, the Babylon Bee, recently posted the link. CNN purchased industrial-sized washing machines to suspend publication that contains info disputed by Snopes.com, an independent fact checker. Please, repeat offenders will see their distribution reduced and their ability to monetize and advertise removed. Okay. That contains info disputed by Snopes. Who the hell is Snopes? I mean, obviously we know who Snopes is, but and how does Snopes end up being treated as if it's a credible source for fact-checking information? Cameron says, I've heard it said by more than one person that the Zuckerborg is actually really libertarian in private. And Cameron, that may be the case. And without having to go too far down the rabbit hole of what a weak and spineless bunch of liberals, libertines, the Libertarian Party is, let's not forget they went for Chase Oliver for their presidential nominee. And that's a whole disaster unto itself. But even if he is a very libertarian person in private, his private life doesn't concern me because it is his public life that has an effect. And in his public life, he is a fair weather friend at best. And like I said, you can bet that if the next president is a Democrat, or if we lose the House and or Senate in the midterms, then Facebook will be right back to maximum anti-conservative censorship because Zuckerberg will think that there's some indices on the political wind, on the zeitgeist, that's what the American people want, right? So here's another great one. Ocasio-Cortez appears on The Price is Right and guesses everything is free. Okay, obviously a joke, right? Obviously, cracking jokes about the fact that she's a communist and, a socialist. And to be clear, when we talk about people like AOC and say that's a socialist, we're not making a hyperbolic claim, right? We're not saying, oh, well, she's a Democrat. That means she's to the left. That means big government. And so, ipso facto, she's a socialist because she is like them in some way. No, this chick was and is a member of the Democrat Socialist Party of America, right? She is a member of the Democrat Party, yes, and runs as a Democrat, but she is part of the Democrat Socialists of America, the Democratic Socialists of America, right? So yes, she is a commie, right? And don't be fooled by people who try to make a distinction between socialism and communism. They're different by degree, not kind. Right. Another great one here. The Ninth Circuit Court overturns death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Right. And again, obviously a joke. Right. Nobody believes that the Ninth Circuit has the ability, let alone the authority, to overturn someone's death. Right? Fact check. Satirical claim that the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals overturned Ginsburg's death. Right? USA Today. Like I said a minute ago, these aren't all some little internet troll organization doing the fact checks. USA Today. Here's another one from USA Today. With Moonwater announcement, Trump proposes space navy. That's hilarious. That is freaking hilarious. Right? Fact check. Claim that Trump proposed a space navy is false. It started as a parody. And this article got linked on the Babylon Bee's post, which was obviously satire, right? Trump, I have done more for Christians than Jesus. That's from the Babylon Bee. And in fairness, I think he ended up saying something kind of like that later, but at the time he didn't. And this is, on the Republican side, the Babylon Bee doing the thing that the Babylon Bee does. They take a thing that is obviously too far and ridiculous, but is aligned in the correct direction to make a parody, right? Snopes fact checked that, right? Okay, there is the Babylon Bee and there is the Not the Bee, right? And Not the Bee is Not the Bee. If y'all haven't checked out Not the Bee is not satire because it is not the Babylon Bee. What Not the Bee is are stories that sound like they should be ridiculous, they should be satire, but instead are not, because it's not the bee. In fact, let's take a quick peek at Not the Bee. And see what they're reporting today, just for chuckles. And yeah, the idea with Not the Bee is these articles read like they could have been written by the bee, but they're not actually satire. Justin Trudeau, there isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become part of the United States. Okay, that may not be the biggest. Marjorie Taylor Greene to introduce bill that renames Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, right? That sounds pretty satirical and far-fetched, but it's not. And by the way, we have more coastline with the Gulf of Mexico than Mexico does, and also screw Mexico. I like tacos, but I like America more. If this dad's life lesson doesn't make you cry, okay, we're not going to get into that one. The people of LA booed Hulk Hogan out of the arena on Monday Night Raw Netflix premiere. Virginia man evades state troopers by jumping into sewer drain. Right? That sounds like a joke, but it's not. Come meet two very British Brits who have a problem with proposed ban on marriage between first cousins. Let's go scorched earth on these corrupt presidential medals and what they reveal about our culture. Okay, that's getting into takes. So, but the point, my point is made. I think that the Not the Bee is what it is. It's not satire. It's articles generally that read like they should be satire. We've covered stuff from Not the Bee before, and it's a great site, definitely worth checking out. But at the end of the day, what we're looking at with Meta getting rid of Facebook Meta getting rid of fact checkers in favor of something more like community notes, there's a couple of things going on here. Obviously, Trump's win this year was historic, the biggest comeback ever, massive electoral landslide, total mandate. And so part of this move by Zuckerberg is responding to the zeitgeist and the political wind of Donald Trump just being dominant Trump. Another piece of it, however, is Facebook is a dead platform. And it's largely because of all the censorship nonsense. People still go on Facebook. Older people still go on Facebook. I still share photos on Facebook for family because, some of the older folks they're still on Facebook, and that's where you share family photos. Like me, guys, I never would have been on Facebook, Twitter, anything to begin with back in the day until I was getting ready to deploy. I got a Facebook page when I was about to deploy because it was a way that my wife could share photos of our brand new baby girl, right? My first daughter was born just over a month before I deployed. And left my poor wife at home with our new baby for a year. And being able to get pictures of the baby while I was downrange, between that and Skype, so we could do video calls. That was, and back then I think I was paying like $250 a month to have internet access while I was downrange. And this is 2010. $250 a month for internet access sounded like a lot of damn money back then, but it was absolutely worth it to be able to look at pictures of my baby on Facebook and to be able to talk to her on Skype and call home and talk with mommy and daddy and all that. I had my laptop at the Green Beans on Ali Al Salim, which is in Kuwait. I see at least a few names in the chat who I know have been to Ali Al Salim and not only know what I'm talking about, but the exact Green Beans cafe that I'm talking about. And I was sitting in there on my laptop, and Mom called me on Skype, and I'm talking to my mother while I'm in Kuwait. And remember, this is Kuwait 2010. There's not really any activity going on there. We happen to have a base there that we use for end processing into Afghanistan. But I'm sitting there talking to my mom on Skype, and the barista is at the counter right next to me and starts frothing the milk for a cappuccino. And mom started falling apart because the noise, she didn't know what the hell that noise was. All of a sudden, oh my God, Chris, what's happening? What's happening? Like, we're good. It's coffee chick's making coffee, Mom. It's okay. I know it over this shitty speaker. It sounds like machine gun fire, but it's just coffee. We're good. Okay, Cameron makes a solid point here. Oh, yeah, I really do wish you could have been on this morning, brother. I don't know if saying Meta responding to the zeitgeist is a bad thing. Disney is fucking drowning because they refuse to do the same. Absolutely. Absolutely correct. And Meta, Facebook is responding to the zeitgeist and to the power of Donald Trump, the Trump effect, in much the same way that China and Hamas and Russia and Canada are, right? Everybody's saying they want to come to the table for peace talks and end all the conflicts around the world now that Donald Trump's coming back into office, right? He hasn't even been inaugurated yet. And we've already got world leaders all over the place making massive changes and making massive overtures and basically begging to come to the table and resolve international conflicts because, well, Donald Trump might just shove a Moab up your ass. We've seen him did it, right? But at the same time, hell, yesterday we talked about Justin Trudeau resigning as the leader of the Canadian Liberal Party and Prime Minister of Canada. That is a direct response to Donald Trump and the things that Trump says he wants to get done. So I'm not saying that Meta responding to the zeitgeist in the way that it is doing it right now is a bad thing, but fair weather friends. My point there is that in the future, when the zeitgeist shifts, if the zeitgeist shifts, which there's I think we've got a whole show there on the probable directions of the zeitgeist, the political wind, and how those will be influenced in the future by basically birth rates and birth trends in the United States, because leftist shitheels are having themselves sterilized and they're aborting their children, while guys like me are over here raising our babies. So, when my second daughter, during the COVID lockdowns, when it was first kicking off, Penelope was 5, I think. And, Amazon dropped off a package and the package said made in China on the outside of the box. And Penny didn't even pick it up. She came in and grabbed me and said, Daddy, come here. And I followed her outside. She said, there's a box. It says made in China. You should burn it. Right. So the liberals are not doing their thing. and we are doing our thing. That said, Zuckerberg has shown us very clearly that basically when and if the zeitgeist shifts in the other direction, he will follow that political wind. But in fairness, Waller says, how many times can we say zeitgeist? I'll say zeitgeist over and over again. It's one of my favorite words. It's right up there with kerfuffle. But damn, he broke my train of thought. Oh, okay. So all that said, Zuckerberg, fair weather friend, follow the zeitgeist. With censorship being killed on Facebook, I suspect that will add a serious headwind against Democrats gaining support from voters. It's going to be an uphill battle for them, in much the same way that it was a major uphill battle for Republicans to get Trump into office the first time and the second time, having to battle upstream against not just social media censorship, but what we now know to have been illegal, unconstitutional federal government interference by incumbent administrations and the Democrat Party. Their involvement and coercion of Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, etc. Not to mention how the Tencent empire and what's it called? TikTok are infiltrated and abused by the Chinese Communist Party and their intelligence apparatus against the interests of the United States to bolster and cause hyper leftist political positions to be spread and gain traction, especially among young voters. Right? For example, the whole trans thing, right? The transgender ideology is a social contagion that has been almost exclusively generated and weaponized against the American people by the Chinese through TikTok. And that may sound like an extreme statement, but what happens is people go on TikTok, and there are doctors, there are studies out there that are saying, hey, the desistance rates are extremely high. The suicide rates for people who do not get help with desistance are also extremely high. Right? I mean, basically, if your kid starts to experiment with transgenderism and starts to go down that road, they've got a nearly 50% chance of at least experimenting with serious self-harm, with self-termination, right? And it's part of the same, it's part of the same eugenics program that the Democrats, the leftists, the socialists, the communists, the National Socialists have been engaged in for the entire history of their existence. It's all about getting babies dead, right? Transgenderism, Planned Parenthood. The Democrat Party wants nothing more than to cause your children to die. It's their primary. It is how they purchase their political capital, by killing babies, right? And okay, I'm way off track now. So yes, Cameron, I agree that it is. I wouldn't even say that it's a bad thing that Zuckerberg is responding to the zeitgeist now, except to point out that, it's kind of like the Obergefell decision. It's not a stable position. And I would expect it to be reversed as soon as the political wind shifts. But again, with X being basically a more free speech platform now. If Facebook does the same thing, and believe it or not, YouTube is trending in that direction as well. All the platform, and of course, Rumble is rising and stealing viewership away from YouTube. And Rumble doesn't have any need to become more free speechy. Rumble has salty cracker on it. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. You can say whatever you want on Rumble, and that's a good thing. So with free speech on the rise, then yeah, once again, the political headwind, you don't get another Barack Obama, right? A politician who is entirely image with no substance. And well, okay, that's unfair. It's not that Barack Obama had no substance. He had very, very important substance. It's just that the substance was communism and, you know, the dismantling of the United States of America and the American military. And all of that substance was hidden under the thin veneer of his social media presence. And he was the first real social media president. Donald Trump did it better, but Barack Obama did it first. So, but this should slow down support for your AOCs and the like. Now that said, something interesting is happening with some of these guys. John Fetterman, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that suddenly we all need to go move to Pennsylvania and vote for John Fetterman, but Fetterman has had some interesting things to say lately. Like, oh, come on now, that's the image. I wanted to play the clip. So Fetterman on...
Is this Tulsi Gabbard one of the nominees that you could vote for?
Well, I met with her. In fact, I think I've met with virtually all of them. And the ones that I haven't, they're on my schedule, RFK and Governor Noem. So I'm happy to meet with all of them. And that's also part of this. I don't know why that was controversial. I mean, I got a lot of blowback just, even to meet with them. And to me, I see that as just doing my job. And I'm going to have a conversation with anyone that would like to have a conversation with me. And if somebody believed everything that's been written.
So I'll give him this. He sounds a lot more coherent than he did when he ran for that office. And it's still a travesty that Dr. Oz was our option against this guy. But it's also interesting that he's the most intelligent sounding Democrat you've got speaking on any topic generally, right? Here
there's a lot of talk about Greenland, for example. Now, and I know there's a lot of freakouts, and of course I would never support taking it by force, but I do think I do think it's a responsible conversation if they were open to acquiring it and, whether just buying it outright. I mean, if anyone think that's bonkers, it's like, well, remember the Louisiana purchase? Oh, I think Alaska was a great deal too. $50 million. I think it was it was referred to as Seward's Folly, and now that was Alaska now. So, I mean, open to having all kinds of conversations as well. And now I don't think it's not helpful to freak out, but some things might work out, some may not, but that's part of it.
Now, and yeah, by the way, Manifest Destiny, I'm in, I'm good. Absolutely. Let's take back the Panama Canal. Let's have Greenland. Screw Canada. As much as the comedy of it appeals to my rough sense of humor, Canada would be like something like 41 or 44 Democrat electoral college votes. It'd be like adding another California that we'd have to overcome in every election, and that not interested. Now, subjugating Canada and saying, listen, we're done. We're done paying your bills. If you want socialized medicine, you pay for it. You want to be a bunch of commies, you pay for it. Shut that shit down. Right? So I'll end on this, basically. Globally, I like the tariffs. I like the manifest destiny stuff, but I wish I could get in front of the Donald and just say the words. Listen, forget about all the tariffs and all this. End all foreign aid. That's it. End all foreign aid. And then everybody who wants some American dollars, you come to the table and you make me an offer. You need some money coming into your country? Sell me something. No more foreign aid. You want some American dollars? Make me a car. Pump me some oil. Raise me some cattle. Right? That's it. So I think that's all I've got for you this morning. Tomorrow, hey, Legion, you're watching right now. Yesterday, they passed the Laken-Riley Act. So hit me up either in the live chat here or in the infamous thread or the Camario thread. And if you're down, I'd like to do a show and talk about the Laken-Riley Act tomorrow. Unless Trump says something else ridiculously funny today, and then who knows? It might just be a total win Thursday. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in it there. I've got to get over to Eatonton for my chiropractor. So thanks for watching this morning, guys. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.